Hey everybody, happy Monday. Welcome back to school for the week and welcome back to Fine Art. So by the time you're watching this video, you should have completed the first Chuck Close grid portrait. So just as a reminder, for the past couple of weeks, we've been working on the Chuck Close grid technique on a sheet of 8.5 by 11 paper. So mine isn't done yet. It's Sunday evening, but by the start of class, this will be done, and so will yours. So please make sure that after you watch this video that you submit your completed Chuck Close grid portrait. So if you haven't been working on this, please get caught up. The practice on this small sheet of paper is going to be crucial for your success in the final project for this unit. So we've been working on this technique on a sheet of 8.5 by 11. For the final project, you are going to be working on a sheet of 18 by 24. This came in your art kit, so you should have 4 sheets of this. So a couple opportunities to mess up. I wouldn't use more than 2 sheets. We'll use the other 2 for the next unit. So please be careful with these. But this is what the final project needs to be completed on. And we're using the same technique, using the Chuck Close grid portrait technique, and just translating it onto a bigger sheet of paper. You can choose a different image if you want, but that's just a quick overview of what the final project for this unit is. The final project for this unit is due on October 29th. So that's the date is due. That's when I'll be looking for it. The week after, so the first week of November, we will meet synchronously for a critique, just like we did for the previous unit. So if you did if you completed all the steps for this portrait, the steps to creating this portrait is going to come really easy and intuitively. So today, the assignment that I'm looking for by the end of class is going to be a gridded portrait that fits the dimension of a sheet of 18 by 24 sheet of paper. So if that doesn't make any sense to you right now, that's okay. I'm going to run through the process again. So before we get into the how-tos for today's activity, I just want to stress that the final project is going to be on a pretty big sheet of paper. So before you get into creating the image, please spend some time looking for an image that you want to draw for a little bit and an image that you want enlarged. So you'll be spending quite a bit of time working on this. So ideally the end product is something that you want to maybe put up or give to someone, or something that means something to you. So just take some time in finding the portrait or the image that you want to draw. So once we get into the tutorial, you'll also see that the sizing or the dimensions of the image is going to matter a lot more. So again, when we worked on the smaller 8.5 by 11, it was more of a practice. We didn't think about it as intentionally or purposefully, but now that we're working on a big sheet of paper, we just want to make sure that everything looks the way we want it to look. All right, so let's get into it. So for folks that went through the full process for the practice portrait, this is going to be a little bit redundant. So I'm going to go through this a little bit quicker than I did in the previous video. It'll be a nice recap for people who went through the process, and for people who haven't gone through the process yet, this will be a nice overview, but please go back and watch the previous videos just to get more details and for the whole scope of things. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and launch Pixlr Editor. I know some people may be using other platforms or other softwares. That's totally fine. But I'm going to ask that whatever platform you're using, that you follow the dimensions that I'm giving and you use the grid that I'm giving. So let's go ahead and launch Pixlr X. I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to name it Chuck Close Grid Portrait Final. And here are the dimensions. So for a horizontal or a landscape setting to your picture, the width is 2,304. And the height is 1,728. So this again is for a horizontal image, for a landscape image. So if you're creating a vertical image, if you're working on a portrait image, then you'll obviously exchange those numbers so that the height is taller than the width. All right, so let's go ahead and create this. So this should look familiar. This is the background that has something on it, but it has our dimensions set. So let's go ahead and add a layer, add an image. And we'll go ahead and select this photo and now enlarge it to fit my canvas. So you guys may know these people, you probably don't. So this is Kurt Cobain and Courtney Love. And then I'm going to put the grid on top of it. So again, it's the same process, right? I'm going to add a layer, add an image. I'm going to find my grid, which is right here. All right, so this is a little big. So I'll bring it down so it fits exactly inside this canvas. All right, so a couple of things really quick. I know that people had a hard time with the file that I uploaded to Classroom. So what I'll do this time is I'll send you the file directly in your email so you can download it. So what's really important to note is this is a PNG file, which means that it has a transparent background. So some people may be downloading it and it just looks black. That's because it's black lines on like essentially a black or non-existent background. So it may look like a black file, may look like there's nothing there, but once you upload it, you should be able to see the lines. And I know some people are just having trouble in general downloading it as an image file. It was coming up as a PDF. So I'm going to go ahead and send the file directly to your email, and that's where you'll find it. I'll still attach it to Classroom just so it's there in case it is working for others. But just to make sure that I'm covering all my bases. So this is it. This is all I'm looking for at the end of class today is this digital gridded portrait. So you'll notice that everything fits, right? So this grid is not stretched out. It fits directly in there. So what I want you all to pay attention to when you're doing this, and I actually haven't counted it out, so we're going to do it right here together, is that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 squares across the long edge. So either vertical or horizontal, it doesn't matter. There's 13 squares across the long edge, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 squares along the short edge. You'll also notice that this 11th square is just a halfer, so 10 and a half. But you don't have to worry about that right now. You just have to know that there should be 11 spaces on the short edge and then 13 spaces on the long edge. And I would, encourage you to play around with different images. So I may, throw in another image of them. I actually think this image is pretty cool. And I'm sure I can hide this layer. I can throw these guys under the grid and play around with different images. Just stressing the point that you are going to be blowing this image up super big. So let's just make sure it's an image that you want to draw, that you want to spend some time with. So then finally, let's say this is what I decide on. I'll go ahead and save this as a PNG file. And that is it. So make sure you submit this file at the end of class today. And the other tip that I offered you all last time was to also save this as a PXD file, just in case you want to work on it again later. But what I'm also finding is Pixlr actually saves your file on the online platform, so that's not even a necessary step. All right. looking forward to seeing what you all create. Again, I know I sound like a broken record. Please, please, please use the dimensions that I gave you. Don't stray from that because I'm going to ask you to redo it anyway. And then please use the grid that I'm going to share with you. Don't draw your own grid. I don't want you to waste your time. And it's just easier to just use what's I'm giving you guys because it's measured out. And it's also easier for me because then we're all working on the same thing. So it's easier for me to understand if you're running into a problem, how I can help you. All right. Thank you guys.